say that geocaching is a language of location. Every geocache, every adventure we go on tells a story. This hobby's been around for over 20 years now, and with smartphones a ubiquitous tool in most societies and mobile games being enormously popular, we use them for so much more than just locating containers at GPS coordinates. Recently, Adventure Labs have come to the forefront as another means for geocachers to share an experience, to tell a story, offer discovery, all within the comfort of our own phone. Like geocaches, an Adventure Lab is very much like a virtual geocache. It takes you to a location where you may perform a task or learn something like about some mind-bending art or the fascinating history of a location, or maybe even helping an alien fix his crashed ship so he can return home. All this in order to answer a question and earn that successful accomplishment. Who knows what an Adventure Lab waypoint may ask of you? So let's chat a bit more about them, and with a team that is creating a unified experience that spans a nation. It's the Lincoln Highway Adventure Lab series. All right, welcome to Ian and Kyle. Thanks for coming on to chat about this project.
Thanks for having us. How are you?
Thank you.
Could you give us a quick summary of what the Lincoln Highway Adventure Lab project is?
All right. The series is a collection of obviously Adventure Labs, and they're all based around the Lincoln Highway route. They span from New York City all the way out to San Francisco, California. And at my last count, it looks like we're going to end up with about 106 Adventure Labs in the series. Most of them, I'd say the majority of them are 10 stages each. So we're looking at probably close to 900 individual stages all across the United States. They all focus on the history of the Lincoln Highway. A lot of the things you'll see are items with the Lincoln Highway logo on them, and as well as just a bunch of historical sites, stuff like that were standing at the time of the Lincoln Highway when it was built back in 1913.
There's a few that are like super cool, like landmarks along the way too. I know one of the ones in Illinois, right, Kyle, had a whole bunch of murals dedicated to the highway. If I got that. And there's another similar one in Ohio. There's a whole bunch of murals and stuff like that.
So how did the idea for creating this series start? What was the inspiration?
Be honest, I got an Adventure Lab credit and I didn't know what to do with it. And there's a local park near my house, and they have a Lincoln Highway. They call it auto camping shelter, which is where people who would travel the highway would stay overnight. It was kind of like a free motel, but it's an outdoor camping site. I was poking around the shelter and realized that there's also a gazebo, which Illinois has 16 gazebos dedicated to the Lincoln Highway. So with these two being in close proximity with each other, I decided just to kind of see if I could start something on that. And when I actually sat down and dug into it, I found out the Lincoln Highway was actually over 3,000 miles long. And when I pulled up the Lincoln Highways Association's map, there's just thousands of items related to the Lincoln Highway that I figured we could see if we could see how far this thing could go. We started off with 11 Adventure Labs in Illinois. I was going into different Facebook pages looking for people that wanted to join. And at first it was kind of slow. Not many people wanted to jump in on it, but once it started taking off, it just went like wildfire. And now today we're in 14 states and 106 labs. And the route was revised a few different times, so it takes different paths. We pretty much do have the entire route covered, even with those revisions. So it's well over 3,000 miles.
Well, that definitely beats the Kings Highway 11 that we have in Ontario. That's was about 1,700 kilometers. I think that's maybe about a third of the length. And but we have one virtual that covers that entire highway with 25 locations. So now you've got the Lincoln Highway. The Lincoln Highway with how many caches now are active on the Lincoln Highway, did you say?
As of today, it looks like we're right about 86 that are live, and we've got right about 20 more to go. So we'll end up with 106, pretty close to it.
And that's anywhere from how many stages per lab?
The minimum was 5, and the majority are about 10. The thing that we tried to do is keep everything as close to the route as possible. So if someone is traveling the route, they're going to travel the actual route that was there in 1913.
Now you have a website that shows the actual route, the highway route from west to east. This isn't a website that you created. This is the Lincoln Highway Association.
Yeah, correct. That's the actual Lincoln Highway Association's map. And over on the right side, if you click on points of interest button, you can toggle on and off the points of interest, and it'll populate the map where you can zoom in. So a lot of those items we use to help plan our labs.
Yeah. So this was all populated by them, and you're using this as a guide.
Correct.
People on good ideas for adventure lab locations.
Mm-hmm.
So that isn't the map of all of the adventure labs, but you do have a map of the adventure labs. These are all the active current adventure labs.
That's correct.
These are the individual labs or the locations within the sets?
Those are all the individual locations that people can visit.
You can use the filter on the left, if I'm not mistaken, and you can turn the stages off so you can see just the main adventure. And I think it's set up with both. So that right there, those are the individual adventures. And then by turning the stages on, you can see how many stages there are that cover the entire route too.
Yeah. So if anybody's ever looking for a road trip, here are a whole lot of places to visit.
They actually do with the Lincoln Highway Association. They actually do special recognition for people that have driven the entire highway as well. So not just geocaching, but you can actually get recognized for traveling that. So bucket list item.
So LincolnHighwayAssociation.org, they seem to have a whole lot of information about the highway itself, partnerships and history, educational stuff.
You can join your local chapter if you're so inclined. Tons of information on there, a lot of history. Super cool.
It's a great way to retain that for future generations.
Each state has their own chapter where they'll do yearly events and stuff, and they'll go out and preserve the signs and maintain the roads and stuff that they have in their state. Kind of help to preserve the history.
So now, how many people have adventure labs on this highway?
I think we're going to end up, when it's done, we're going to have close to 95 individual adventure lab cache owners that have participated.
Do you have a certain set of guidelines or instructions for how these particular adventure labs should be structured?
So we kept it pretty basic. The one thing that we're trying to do is keep it created non-sequential, so that way people can do it from either direction of travel. We're just trying to highlight the history of the route, look for signs, markers, murals, stuff like that are focusing on the highway. And then secondly, they're looking for other interesting items that are on the route. So anyone who's traveling this route, we just want to show them, give them a good time and show them interesting things.
The other thing too that Kyle did a nice job of when he pointed me and gave me some direction was you actually made images for the various states for us to use, Kyle, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like we actually have a really cool like state specific Lincoln Highway image for each state. So that's one way to kind of tell which ones are part of this. And then a lot of them will also have Lincoln Highway somewhere in the title. That's a pretty common feature across most of the country at this point. Most of them say like Lincoln Highway blank to blank or whatever city it's in. So the naming's kind of similar. The images, the banner images, all kind of similar. So I think the image is like my favorite part of the whole thing. I think that was cool.
You've got t-shirts all set up with the different states, the shapes of the states.
Our friend Sean at Arted Crafted came up with those, and he's got those for sale on his Facebook page and his website. And I believe he's got every state available.
New York, New Jersey, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, California, Canadian. Are you going to be ending off the series at some point, or will you be continuing to add over time?
I think we will probably reach an end point. Right now we're at 106 labs. I think we could probably support 110, 115, probably at the most. We do have it pretty well covered from start to finish. There's a few gaps here and there, but nothing really that could support another lab.
Do you think the pandemic has had an effect on people's interest in doing these or creating them?
Yeah, definitely.
I was gonna say that was some of the appeal of the adventures this entire pandemic time was that, I mean, unfortunately, people had a lot of time to be by themselves, so it let them be creative, and it let them go out and do these non-physical, away from other people kind of things, right? So they weren't, looking for containers, they weren't placing containers or anything like that. It's just all, hey, look at this cool sign, but like I know that like the people that I worked with here in Ohio to create a couple of these stages. One of them, I don't know how she had time. She's involved in nursing, and the other was off work at the time because of everything that was going on. So yeah, like I think that played a huge part in being able to get so much of this done.
Last year, there was the addition of allowing people to create physical bonus geocaches for adventure labs. Are there anybody? Is there anybody who's created adventure labs on this highway who have also included physical geocaches to find?
Yeah, I don't have the exact number. I would say probably less than half have created bonus caches, but there are a bunch of bonus caches out there that people could find.
I saw somewhere somebody was posting about the thought of hiding a bonus cache that was kind of far away from the main highway, and would people like that or not? How much of a detour would people have to do in some places off the highway to complete adventure labs or find these bonus caches?
Yeah, and that's kind of the reason why we're trying to keep everything as close to the route as possible. Because if someone were to do it, start to finish, I mean, it would take forever. But if they're going to do multiple in a day, we want people going, 20, 30 minutes out of their way just to find a bonus cache. So we're trying to keep them on the route.
I have one stop on mine to go back to your other question, that it's like, I want to say like 2 miles north of the route that's coming through town. But it takes you to the cemetery where a really important person in the Lincoln Highway Association is buried, to the cemetery there. And I was like, I'll bend it a little bit. It'll go like a mile north. And it's actually on that Lincoln Highway Association map. So I felt okay about it. I'm a big history nerd. So if you're a history person, like this is kind of the thing that I like, this is what I love, right? Like I want to see things that were around 100 plus years ago. We're talking about 1913 when a lot of this was put together, right? There's stretches of the road that are still the original brick paving from when that was put together in certain places. There's the pillar markers with the bronze or brass medallions that are on them and stuff like that. And like I love that kind of stuff. So this is right up my alley. And I mean that's that. There you go. There's my shameless plug for all you people who like history. Come check them out. They're awesome.
Do you have any future plans for the series? Like, as we all know right now, there's very little information about adventure labs other than locations, really. So do you have plans for like statistics? You can imagine there's going to be people who want to complete the entire series just to be able to say, I've done the whole thing.
It would be nice to try to figure something out like that. Right now, I'm not sure what we can do. Maybe Project GC would come out with something. If there's a search feature where people can look up which labs they've completed, something like that would be nice in the future. Just right now, I'm not sure.
You can imagine there's going to be people who want to complete the entire series just to be able to say, I've done the whole thing. Right now, there isn't really an easy way to track that publicly. Like you'd have to do it yourself and all that. So maybe at some point that will be easier. But I think that'd be a great statistic to be able to generate for people. I
think at one point somebody in the group of people that had this pointed a finger at HQ and said something about a souvenir or something like that, and we were told, meh. So I think that'd be the coolest thing. But I don't even know how they would do that, because again, like you said, it's hard to tell who's done what and all that outside of HQ, I suppose.
I can only hope that they're developing things behind the scenes that we don't know yet about.
Oh, we all know they are.
So is there any particular location people can go to or connect with people to find out more about the series, about the highway?
Yeah, we've got a Facebook page. It's the Lincoln Highway Adventure Lab series. So if they just search for that exact title, it'll pop up on Facebook. Post photos on there. When I go out, when I do any of the Adventure Labs, I'll post photos on there. And if anyone wants any more information, they can send me a message through there or on my under the geocaching app under my name, KC_11.
All these links that we've shown, all the maps and whatnot, the websites, they'll be available, easily found at GC8MKGF, is it?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's the bonus cache listing. So we'll put some information on there with different links. They can find out more information.
Well, that is the Lincoln Highway Adventure Lab series. Perfect for, well, right now for people in the U.S. You can travel as much of that highway as you're able to and find these adventure labs and not have to worry about touching of objects and everything. So look into that. It's the Adventure Lab or the Adventures app. That's the name of it that you can find on your smartphone in your store. And go searching down that Lincoln Highway. This is a really good long road trip that you could do, especially during this pandemic. And if you're not in the U.S., you can perhaps use this as inspiration. See if you can work with some other people and come up with another power trail, as it were, of adventure labs. There's no reason why you can't do it, really. Yeah, maybe this will give you some ideas. Well, thank you guys, Ian and Kyle, for joining OnABoat and KC11. Make sure that you follow that Facebook group, the Lincoln Highway Adventure Lab series, for any news and what's coming up. And yeah, hope you guys have a great event.